Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. The Supreme Court today, in a stunning judgment, struck down on the electoral bonds scheme. It ruled electoral bonds as unconstitutional and in violation of the right to information. The court also asked the SBI, the state bank, which is the only bank which issues electoral bonds, to reveal all the donors by the 31st of March. This, the Election Commission will then have to publish on its website the full list of donors who have donated to various political parties through the electoral bonds. In fact, it has also asked political parties to return all the uncashed bonds back to the donors. Now, the opposition is calling this a big win for transparency in the electoral process, as it should be, or because of the Supreme Court asking for a retrospective naming of all the donors to various political parties, will this get mired in the heat and dust and mud of politics between the government and the opposition? But first, the story of what many are calling a historic verdict.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक ऐतिहासिक निर्णय दिया है और भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ब्लैक मनी कन्वर्शन स्कीम यानी इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड स्कीम को खारिज कर दिया।
I welcome it because we've all had very strong discussions and debates about it.
हमारा मानना है कि ये इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड स्कीम ये राजनीतिक करप्शन, पॉलिटिकल करप्शन का लीगलाइजेशन। आज ये जजमेंट जो आया इसका हम स्वागत करते हैं।
में राजनीतिक पार्टियों को या सरकारों को कौन लोग चंदा दे रहे हैं, कितना चंदा दे रहे हैं, यह चुनावी बॉन्ड योजना के तहत गुप्त रखा जाता है, लेकिन आज से उन्हें बताना होगा।
Since the judgment is of a constitution bench running into hundreds of pages, it requires a comprehensive study and thereafter a structured reply. This decision was undertaken for a very laudable objective, to bring in transparency in electoral funding.
All right, so let's take you through some of the key aspects of what the Supreme Court's ruling is as of today. Number one, it says that anonymous electoral bonds are violative to the right to information. It also goes on to say that it's an infringement of the right to information and that cannot be justified for curbing black money. Information about corporate contributions must be disclosed, as donations could be seen as purely quid pro quo. Amendments in the Companies Act which permit unlimited political contributions are arbitrary and unconstitutional. Also, that information about the funding of political parties is essential for making electoral choices. So, pretty scathing in its observations in the order as to what it feels about the electoral bond scheme. But what is now the road ahead? Because we are well and truly in election season, so if there are corporate interests or individuals who want to contribute to political parties, how do they go about it? What's the road ahead? State Bank of India, which is the only bank which issues electoral bonds, will forthwith stop issuing them. The SBI has also been asked by the court to release the data of all those who had contributed through electoral bonds until the 31st of March. That data has to be shared to the Election Commission. The SBI will have to furnish the details of the bonds that have been encashed by various political parties, and the Election Commission will have to publish on its website by the end of March the details of the bonds and who bought these bonds by, in fact, I'm told 13th of March, not the end of March. In fact, political parties will also have, if there are uncashed electoral bonds, they will have to refund that amount back to the donors who gave it to them. Now, here's the thing. While people who argue for transparency in the election process are by and large welcoming this order. The BJP has said that yes, it will honor the Supreme Court's verdict, but top government sources have also cited some concerns about today's judgment. They have said that the policy was aimed at curbing black money in elections and safeguarding donors. The big concern is what about the legal rights of those who have already donated? Remember, this was passed as part of the finance bill in Parliament, which gave the donors a legal guarantee that their identities would be protected. The donors who earlier had that legal guarantee of anonymity by an act passed in Parliament, that legal guarantee no longer exists. Also, that donations took place because of the anonymity factor. It took place without fear of any malicious targeting by those who are part of the ruling government. Is there no sanctity of legal regimes from Parliament? Remember, this was part of the finance bill. It was an act passed by Parliament, and that is what the Supreme Court has struck down on. And most importantly, the SC could have decided to disclose donor names prospectively rather than retrospectively. And the retrospective aspect is problematic because if you start releasing and start interpreting laws in a retrospective fashion, applying laws in a retrospective fashion, then that would be very, very suspect in legal terms. So this is one area of concern, but by and large, like I said, this is a big boost towards transparency in the whole election funding process and who is giving how much to which political party. Let me go across to our guests who are joining us. Dr. Shama Mohammed is National Spokesperson of the Congress Party. Ghanshyam Tiwari, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Sanjeev Unyal is a lawyer. Ashutosh Srivastava was also a lawyer. And Major General retired Anil Verma is the head of ADR, which was one of the petitioners in this case. Let me start with you, Major General, because the Election Commission had cited concerns about electoral bonds. The RBI had cited concerns about electoral bonds. But the government went ahead with it anyway. It got passed in Parliament. And I believe a lot of opposition parties at that time had also supported it. But the bigger question is this. Now what happens? Because there is no electoral bond scheme. The government says, and you heard Ravi Shankar Prasad's soundbite a moment ago, that they had brought this to curb illegal funding and black money in politics. They believe that the intent of this was right. Maybe the instrument was wrong. But what happens now, Major General? How can corporate interests or individual interests who want to contribute to political parties, how do they go about it now?
So, Zakir, thank you for having me. Firstly, it doesn't change anything. The previous system continues. All donations above 20,000 rupees, complete details are supposed to be made public. That will continue. The below 20,000 donations will continue. The only thing which is not going to be there is the system of electoral bonds. So that is one. Secondly, the money which the parties have already collected through the electoral bonds, the Supreme Court has not asked it to be refunded. They already have it, they have spent it. And by the way, in January sale itself, 2,800 crores worth electoral bonds have been sold already. So they have enough money in their kitties for the elections. So they're not worried, really speaking.
Okay.
But I want to, those 3-4 points which you gave as if justifying the government's stand. I want to ask you, what about the FCRA? It was amended with retrospective effect just because BJP and Congress were found guilty of accepting foreign funding?
Of course.
So, what is the big deal? The people have a right to know who's giving the money to which party and how much. So that was the basic thing, Article 19A1, which thankfully the Supreme Court has upheld.
No, I am with you on that. The reason why some people have expressed concerns about the retrospective nature is, for example, if you remember this, the famous Vodafone retrospective tax case. If you start applying laws retrospectively, the argument is, and there is a case to be made for this, that it is a slippery slope. You will start opening up a Pandora's box. But in this case, I agree with you because you can't have prospective naming because there is no prospective naming. The whole scheme has been rendered unconstitutional.
Okay, now coming to your what is likely to happen. Now, some people are already saying that the government may think of bringing an ordinance against this and all that. I am not a legal expert, but I think all the amendments which were done to the Income Tax Act, to the Companies Act, to the RBI Act, to the RPA have been struck down as unconstitutional by this constitution bench. So it is not going to be easy for the government to bring in an ordinance. That is one. The second thing is that there were enough, and I have heard all the arguments in November when the case was being discussed in the Supreme Court. The Solicitor General was giving the same arguments that this is transparent and this is going to reduce the black money and cash donations and all that. There was not enough proof as per statistics given to the court by these government councils that this was true. The people say, what is happening now? Don't you see mountains of cash being discovered from political people in their houses? Counting machines are still there. What happened to the demonetization? Did the black money reduce? I mean, these are questions, the other thing I want to say is, this is not about BJP getting more or Congress getting more. Initially, when the scheme was introduced, agreed, the BJP got the maximum. But slowly, all the political parties which are in power, whether they are in the states or the center, started receiving funds through electoral bonds.
Yeah.
Because it was a win-win situation for the donor and the donee.
Exactly.
Both are happy.
So let me bring in the political spokespersons. What General Verma is saying is absolutely right, Dr. Shama Mohammed. Let me start with you first. This is data until October of 2023. The total amount of purchases through electoral bonds and donations through electoral bonds was a little under 10,000 crores, of which over 5,000 crores went to the BJP. 57% of donations was through electoral bonds. For the Congress party, it was 952 crores, 10% was through electoral bonds. TMC was third with 767 crores. Again, 8% was through electoral bonds. So to say that only the BJP was beneficiary of electoral bonds is factually incorrect. The Congress party has also benefited from electoral bonds.
I don't agree with you.
Maybe in a lesser proportion for sure.
What are you saying, Zaka? For once, you must support today's judgment and the Congress
I am supportive of the judgment. Which part of my question is unsupportive of the judgment?
It's a 5-judge bench unanimous decision saying that electoral bonds are unconstitutional.
Where did I say that I disagree with the judgment? Why are you putting words in my mouth?
Don't point fingers today at the Congress party, because my leader, Rahul Gandhi ji, is being vindicated. He said it is money laundering from the beginning. Now, you have to understand, 96% went to the Bharatiya Janata Party. All right. When the Supreme Court itself said that there should be a level playing field. Now, we went against it. We put cases in court, but Supreme Court took a long time for this judgment. Should have done much before. That is one. Thanks to it, it came out at least now. Now, let's understand. Let's go back to 2017. In 2017, when the finance minister at that time, Arun Jaitley, got in, when he went to the RBI, you said the RBI objected. They were against it, not objected. They were against it. They said this cannot be because this is money laundering. But you know what Jaitley's secretary, that time finance secretary, said? They said, we can't do it. He said, no. Tomorrow the bill is going to go in Parliament. We don't care what you say. We're going to go ahead. You need to amend the RBI Act. Now, what did they amend in the RBI Act? Before the RBI Act was amended, every corporate company has a balance sheet every year. They have to write in it the amount given to which party, what is the amount. All right. Number two, the amount that is given is around 7% of their 3 years revenue, an average of that. There is a fixed term. You can't go. Now, what has happened in this case is that you can give, and also no foreign companies can give funds here. Now, when they amended the RBI Act, what they did is the amount has become unlimited. Who is giving which company is anonymous, and third, foreign companies can pay money. That is shell companies. Now, look at the quid pro quo here. For example, there is a company, you're going to do work. A company needs work from the government. So they do the work and the company donates. And you should understand that bonds are in crores going, not in lakhs. It's crore. Now they donate to the company. Number two, suppose a company like Adani has a shell company outside. They earn money, send it to the shell company. The shell company sends it back here. So look what they did. This is what you call Gotala. This is a huge corruption here happening. And let's understand that. So let me just finish. So just see how they amended. Then let's understand very important thing. Who sells the bonds? The SBI. SBI knows, RBI knows, the government of India knows. And you know what has happened? Many a times, businessmen have told me that, Shama, when we put money into your account, we get calls into the Congress account, not mine. We get calls and say, listen, stop it. We're sending the ED and the IT. So that is the other issue here.
Okay.
And let's understand.
Let me bring in Sanjeev Unyal and Ashutosh Srivastava also. Sanjeev Unyal, so please respond to what both General Verma said and what Dr. Shama Mohammed said, and what the Supreme Court today said while it struck down electoral bonds, saying that anonymous electoral bonds are violative of the right to information. Infringement of the right to information cannot be justified for curbing black money. Please respond to that. That ultimately, in a democracy, the voter has the right to know who he or she is voting for and who the funders and backers of that political party are.
There are two things. I'll say like this, because this is law of the land. Supreme Court, whatever says, we have to comply, the directions has been very clearly given to the SBI also, that by 13th March we have to come out with all the names, whosoever has given, who has taken the bonds. So it's very clear, first of all. But according to me, the judgment emphasized purely on right to information. Means the process by which these bonds have been established and the people are giving money to political parties could not be wrong, because everyone knows from last 70, 65 years, a political party is taking out huge money in cash, taking it in the drawer, in the almirah, under the bedrooms, beds. So double beds, under double beds. So they are accommodating lot of cash money. So cash flow has been stopped by coming out with these bonds. This is my orientation, first of all.
No, but Unyalji, you saw the pictures. You saw the pictures recently of a Congress-backed MP in Jharkhand.
No, let me complete.
350 crores were recovered reportedly in cash.
So that was a congressman. So first of all.
No, but how did electoral bonds stop cash transactions in politics?
So at least whatsoever amount could be in lakhs crores of rupees is there through the bonds. So have been saved. Otherwise it would have been like
rubbish.
What happened. The example you are getting right now could be meeting. Let me complete. Keep quiet.
What nonsense.
Keep quiet. And secondly, what nonsense? Supreme Court has given a direction to the jurisdiction of India, that is SBI. But the political parties which were taking huge money to the Swiss bank, in last 20, 25 years, we have not taken any name. We have not taken a single penny from the Swiss bank. But now, you see, so these bonds are much more valuable because that comes under the Supreme Court's jurisdiction. So we can come out. Who are the people who have taken these bonds? So at least far more better. This political party, these bonds, according to me, are far more better. Let me just keep quiet.
Nobody has interrupted you. Says it's unconstitutional. Answer that.
Just keep quiet. Just keep quiet. You are not the anchor.
I'm asking you a question. You have to answer.
Just keep quiet.
Why did Supreme Court say it's unconstitutional?
One second, please. One at a time, please. Shama, you're not the anchor. I'm the anchor. Let him finish. I'll ask him the questions,
How she is
please.
interrupting?
Yeah.
I'm making a very important point. If the people who are taking huge money through cash, and second set of people who are taking money to the Swiss bank, then the third type of people who are taking this money to the SBI. SBI has got 9,000 crore revenue out of it by taking bonds, giving bonds. So 9,000 crore rupees treasury of the government has been enhanced through these bonds. So which category of people are better? The people who are giving this money instead of going to the cash to the Swiss bank, SBI. So SBI can come out with a list of those people within 13th March. This is much more, I think, legalized. According to me, this is much more better
Okay,
than the
let
people who are
me bring in
taking our
Ghanshyam
huge
Tiwari also, please, and
hard-
then after
hard-earned
that,
money
Ashutosh
to the
Srivastava.
people.
Yeah, Ghanshyam Tiwari, there are, like I said, mostly everyone is welcoming this. Many are even citing this as a historic judgment. There are two concerns. One is the concern about this retrospective application of releasing the names of donors at a time when those donors had given, because an act of parliament was passed which said that their names will not be revealed. Number one. Number two, and this is a larger question that needs to be answered, how are political parties now going to be funded in a transparent fashion? Nobody is saying you cannot donate to political parties, but the transparency of it is critical. For example, in the US, in the UK, lobbying is legal, right? You know exactly which company is lobbying for what and which company has paid which political party what. It's all transparent. How do you get to that kind of a system where, I'm not saying you're making lobbying legal, but at least you know which corporate house is funding which political party and whether or not there is a quid pro quo that's going on? Ultimately, you have to move in the direction of transparency.
Good evening, Zaka, to you, the viewers, and the fellow co-panelists. I want to congratulate every citizen of India that this Modi Mahascam, Mahaghtala has been exposed in the Supreme Court and has been called out for what it is. It is unconstitutional. Except BJP, there is no other party brought this, suggested it, supported it, or backed it. Now, look at the period of 2016 to 2022. The ADR report says that BJP got donations worth rupees 10,122 crore. Can you add all the parties together and say that these parties got 10,122 crore? What is BJP doing? Is this distributing money to the charity? No. They are running Khokhe Sarkar, as it is called in Maharashtra. They have benefited from the government that they have turned by alleged buying of MLAs, by stabbing democracy. Where is this money coming from? Point number two, why does BJP require 10,122 crore? The question is there a quid pro quo? When the list comes out, we will know that a government that has written off 14,56,226 crores in NPAs. 14,56,226 crores. They were supposed to give 15 lakh to every account. They waived off nearly 15 lakh crores of their crony capitalists. So the quid pro quo will be established. And the third is, was it even debated in Parliament? A government that muscles through the Parliament, even in this debate, there is no BJP spokesperson because they are all hiding. They know that their dishonesty is being caught. Every citizen of India is celebrating it because we don't want crony capitalists to take away our forests, take away our ports, take away our airports by backing a government whose prime minister may be willing to fly on any aeroplane that is marked by crony capitalists. So I think this is a moment of celebration. Those who say that what happens to the past donations, legal bribe is being called out as illegal now. So those who try to engage in this bribe have to figure it out. Those who indulge in creating parliament as a route for these bribes have to figure it out. And if Mr. Unyal, who was very rude to Shama, can say on record 10,122 crore between 2016 to 2012, can you name even 1 crore of money who gave it? Can you say whether Mehul Choksky, Nirav Modi, Vijay Mallya
What about these bonds which have taken by your party? Congress has taken those bonds.
Are you out of turn?
Return
I'm
those
asking
bonds.
a very specific question. Mehul Choksy, Nirav Modi,
Why?
Vijay
Then
Mallya,
she was doing the same thing.
You are not. Why are they
She was
still
doing the
abroad?
same thing.
So the government that has backstabbed.
What about Swiss Bank? What about Swiss Bank? So many cases are pending against you.
No, one second. There are two
Remain
parts
on
to
the
it. No,
topic.
there are two parts to it. Like I said, it's not just BJP that benefited because of electoral bonds. Opposition parties also have, to a much lesser. One second, please. One second. Come on, Shama, don't do this. To a much lesser proportion than the BJP. That is an accepted point. As far as the point about Swiss banks is concerned, clearly the remit of the Supreme Court does not extend to Swiss banks, so you can't fault the Supreme Court for it. It is the government's job, and not just this government, previous governments also should have got whatever money has been stored away in Swiss banks, should have got it back. But Ashutosh Srivastava, I'm not dealing with Swiss banks today. I'm dealing with Indian banks.
The jurisdiction of India.
Ashutosh Srivastava, I'm dealing with Indian law and what the Supreme Court's decision today is. So, what the court has also said is that the amendments in the Companies Act permitting unlimited political contributions are arbitrary and unconstitutional. that information about funding of political parties is essential for electoral choices. So, like an example was given, you know, if a corporate house is into mining and a political party comes to power promising tribals and others that, look, we're not going to give away our forests to these mining companies, and then through electoral bonds, this mining company buys electoral bonds and funds that political party, and that political party then, you know, gives mining rights in tribal areas or in forests, then that's a quid pro quo. That's what the Supreme Court is referring to. That if you have an anonymous donor and a political party that's receiving it, then where is the public's right to know? The public's right to know has to be supreme in a democracy.
Yes, see, first of all, the order which has come today by the Supreme Court obviously has to be respected and has to be complied with. There is no question to that. Now, you know, it is somewhat surprising that many of the political parties who have followed the same procedure, and with the same procedure they have taken such kind of donations, now they are complaining that the system was not proper suddenly. Now, see, what I would like to say here is that whether it is a higher amount or less amount, all the political parties have taken the donations in the similar manner. They had the right, as per the law, they had the right to refuse such kind of bonds, but they have still followed and they have taken the money through the same procedure. Now they are complaining because they may want to say that a particular political party has received much more funds than as compared to them. Now, first of all, if somebody has to donate funds, it is the individual's choice to donate the amount to a particular political party, assuming that this particular political party would be doing, you know, a better development or, doing a best in the interest of their businesses and for the public at large. That could be the thought process of an individual.
No, but Mr. Srivastava, no. Is that individual's right to donate bigger than the public's right to know who is donating to whom? That is the larger question.
This scheme was basically framed for the public only. Now, suppose if somebody has donated, funds to one political party, after realizing that this particular party has not performed well, it has not done as per the expectation of the donor. So in that case, that particular person, individual or company decides to shift the funding or the donation to some other political party. Now, what happens in this process that the first political party, becomes, and behaves in a way of enmity with this individual who has donated, and a situation of rebel, comes in picture. So to maintain this and to maintain the right to privacy, I don't know why she is shouting. She has also taken some 1,000 crores which is there in the
No. One second, Shama, please. Okay, don't do this. Please don't do this. I will come to you. You can put forth your views. Whatever your views are will be on your time, not on the time of another panelist. Let him finish, please. Thank you. Come on.
If Ms. Shama says that this is a money laundering, then she should be prosecuted for that. Why has she taken this much of money from the public at large and she's shouting on the channel like that? Please keep quiet and listen. So when some of the political parties started misusing this law, and some shell companies started coming in, as she said that there was some money laundering where she would be knowing about her party or some other party like that. So thereafter, the matter came before the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court realized that yes, there would be chances of misuse of this scheme, and that is why this scheme has been again seen by the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court decided today that there has to be certain amendment here, and accordingly it directed State Bank of India to issue all the details of the
Let me take that to General Verma about the question of anonymity. Now, the reason why the anonymity clause was inserted when this bill was passed was that it doesn't lead to retributive action. Tomorrow, let's say if power changes hands, that if so and so has donated to political party A and tomorrow this political party B that comes to power, then the person who has donated is not at the receiving end of retributive action to the vagaries of power. That was the reasoning. Today, the Supreme Court has taken that reasoning away by saying make public all the list of all the donors who have contributed to political parties. General Verma.
I have two responses to that. One was that I remember the late Mr. Arun Jaitley, the then finance minister, made this statement in the parliament that this is the reason why we are keeping the anonymity clause. People filed RTI applications with the concerned departments of the government. I think the DEA, the Economic Affairs and wherever. And they were given a response in writing that there was no such request received by the government that there is retribution from any person. So that is one. The second thing is, do we have any cases in the open where such type of retribution or vindictiveness has taken place? I don't think so. Other corporates are very smart. They know which party is going to win. They donate to that. If there is a change in the wind direction, they will start supporting the other part. So I don't buy much into this argument, and neither did the Supreme Court, because it doesn't make much sense, frankly.
Okay, Shama Mohammed, to respond to what both Mr. Unyal said and what Mr. Srivastav said, they are on a matter of principle. Hear me out, please, 10 seconds. They are on a matter of principle. No one is saying that Congress party benefited because of electoral bonds or other opposition parties did. Clearly, the BJP benefited disproportionately. The numbers are there for everyone to see. But the fact that 10% of contributions to the Congress party have come through electoral bonds, it's a question of principle. If you were opposed to electoral bonds, you should not be taking a single pie through electoral bonds.
Did you hear the Supreme Court judgment? They talked about the level playing field also in the judgment.
Yes.
So what are we supposed to do? No, what are we supposed to do? We don't get anything and we don't function. We don't have money. You have to understand. So the other thing which I said, SBI knows about it. When SBI knows, the government of India knows. So when the companies are even giving us, they are being threatened not to give us. Number one. Number two, one of the gentlemen said that suddenly, it is not suddenly. It is during that initial phase in 2017, we were against it. That's when we went to the Supreme Court. And money laundering is the word used by RBI. I don't know what lawyers you are, where you all work, but I don't think you all must be Supreme Court since you don't know. The money laundering word was used by RBI. They said this is not done. And also let's understand very important thing. We got in the RTI Act. And do you know that this thing, when they amended the RBI Act, they said that this does not come, Arun Jaitley put it, that it will not come in the RTI Act. So nobody can, in between this period, before this judgment came, nobody has the right to information to find out who gave the money. We as a party did not know because we are not in the government. Those who like SBI knew exactly, and the SBI told the government of India, the RBI said to the government of India that who is donating this. And also the very important thing, Zaka, is the unlimited amount. And we, when we were in power, foreign funds couldn't come in. And we had in the balance sheet the amount. It was stopped at 7%. You have to understand that, of the revenue. Here, foreign funds come in. It is an unlimited amount. So it is not me or my party which has changed in the rules. And also the RTI, right to information, was brought in by my party, where there is transparency.
I'll give the final word to Mr. Unyal, both on the anonymity clause which has been struck down by the court today, and
unlimited amount coming from abroad.
And second on allowing this shell companies, which is something that was flagged by the RBI even before this bill was passed in 2017. Mr. Unyal.
You see the intention. I'll take the things in a very simple way, not complex. If you cannot convince, you confuse a number of times. I am not saying Shama is doing like this, but in very, very simple things. What was the intention of giving bonds to the people, first of all? What was the intention of the political party, any political party? Could be because 1,000 crore rupees 2,000 crore rupees has been taken and run away in the Swiss bank, deposited in the Swiss bank. Nobody has
So why
taken
make it
state vote,
anonymous?
nobody has
Why
been
make it
any
anonymous?
pledges.
Answer that.
Nobody has
Why
been
is it
One
anonymous?
second,
CRPC,
Shama, again,
CRPC,
please,
just
please, you are guilty of doing this
Why she
again
is
and
so
again and
impatient?
again on the show. Don't do this, please.
Because you're
No,
not
no, it's no. I gave you, I gave you
because
ample
it
time
means
to
I'm
respond.
talking very
You
sensibly.
respond on your time. Now it's his time, not your time. No, please. You have to listen to what he has
That
to
is
say.
the only intention. That is the only intention. Let black money should come in a white style, because illegal money
Prime
should
Minister
not be
Modi
there
said he's
on the
going to get the
roads.
15 lakhs
Should not be
with
there
bank.
on the, should not be there
Okay.
in the political houses, and the political parties who are governed by single family or the single individual had been really upset because they were not getting money and they were not growing at all. If you see Sensex also, if CNN, if somebody is taking news in the CNN, like your channel right now is doing, nobody is asking how much money of which businessman is there in the CNN, but they are looking into the news. So if CNN is doing good, so a lot of shares have been sold and people are putting up money in the CNN because CNN is doing better than other channels. So that is the only
No,
reason. Nobody is asking
sir,
which money is
we
there
are a
in the
listed
CNN.
company.
So I'll news. So
who's
it
on
is
our-
like
no,
this.
no, sir,
It is
one
like
second,
this.
sir,
It is
sir,
like
sir,
this.
no, sir,
It is like this.
sir, please,
It is
please.
like.
No,
Let
we
me
are a
complete.
listed
Let me
company.
complete.
It
I'll
is
take your
there. It
question.
is there in the public domain. Who is part of our director board? Who our investors are? I don't think you
So
can
that's
compare
why-
that.
so
I don't think you can compare that to
I was
anonymous
giving an
donations
example.
to political
This
parties.
is the
Anyway,
example. No,
I have to
what
wrap
I
up.
mean to
Gansham,
say,
final word. I have
why-
to really wrap up. I'm completely out of time.
Let me
Sir,
say
now I
one
moved on
thing
to the
more.
next guest.
Let
Please,
me
you
say one thing more.
also please yield.
The
Gansham
most
Tiwari, last
popular-
30 seconds, please.
One sentence, Zaka. I appeal to BJP that please send your spokesperson to discuss this organized loot that you organized through the parliament, and so that kindergarten discussions and arguments don't create your point of view.
Okay.
BJP is the architect of this organized plan. They received 10,000 crores plus. They have to answer to people of India.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Let's see how this story plays out. But I want to shift focus to a newsmaker tonight on Brass Tacks, an exclusive chat with